Greetings and welcome to a Prayerful Pause. I'm Nancy Woodworth-Hill and amongst other things, the spiritual director. Today we will look at the welcome prayer, also called the welcoming prayer, which is a method, as indicated by its title, that assists us to focus on welcoming our thoughts, feelings, fears, desires, emotions, uncertainties perhaps, which emerge from the events and circumstances of our daily lives. The welcoming prayer considers what arises in us not as elements to be repressed, but rather brought into the divine light by naming, welcoming, and then releasing them to God. It fosters a practice of surrender in daily life. It's important to note that what's being surrendered are the thoughts, feelings, fears, desires, emotions, not the situation which gives rise to them. The goal then is to surrender, or welcome, and let's just choose anger. So we welcome the anger so that we ourselves do not become anger. I'll come back to this as we turn the practice into steps. So this prayer was developed by Mary Mrzowski. It's based on the 18th century French spiritual classic, Abandonment to Divine Providence by Jean-Pierre Caussade, as well as the teachings of Father Thomas Keating. He was a Trappist monk and developer of the centering prayer technique. Mary wrote that to welcome and to let go is one of the most radically loving, faith-filled gestures that we can make in each moment of each day. It's an open-hearted embrace of all that is in ourselves and in the world. So at its core, this prayer is about letting go. The purpose of the welcoming prayer is to deepen our relationship with God through consenting or welcoming during ordinary activities. As Father Thomas Keating has written, welcoming prayer is the practice that actively lets go of thoughts and feelings that support the false self system. It embraces painful emotions experienced in the body rather than avoiding them or trying to suppress them. It does not embrace the suffering as such, but the presence of the Holy Spirit in the particular pain, whether physical, emotional, or mental. Thus, it is the full acceptance of the content of the present moment. In giving the experience over to the Holy Spirit, the false self system is gradually undermined and the truth self liberated. Another writer on this prayer, Cynthia Bourgeault, states, this practice operates on the principle of making a separation between the I, totally lost in its reactions, desires, and aversions, and the deeper I. But it does this in a very unique and interesting way. She continues, rather than simply letting go of the thoughts, is done in many schools of inner work and actually rides the gathering storm of their emotional and physical energy that has already started to build. It redirects the pathway of this energy through the body so that it's liberated from the false self system and recaptured as vital energy for inner transformation. So there are three movements to this. So essentially to name, right? Feel what you are experiencing this moment in your body. Acknowledge the presence of your feelings. Sink into this feeling in your body. No stories, no commentaries. The goal is to stay present to the physical sensation. So that assures there's no mental dissociation of one piece of the mind commenting on another. The goal is to work with the feeling, not the situation which brings about the feeling. So decisions on a situation can come at a different time. Then once you've named it and sunk into that feeling, the second step is to welcome. Welcome what you are experiencing this moment in your body, be it physical or mental pain or emotional distress or even self-satisfaction. It's the sensation you are accepting, the emotional signature, rather than the external situation. So the goal is not to let that feeling or thought or fear, that desire, that emotion chase you out of presence, and to restore the inner peace, after which then we can choose how to deal with the outer situation, be it by acceptance or resistance. Perhaps for some, I've heard imaging God at the head of the table as you welcome each feeling guest in turn. I find that I work best with one at a time. So these two steps, to name and then to welcome, are the core of the practice. The third and final step is actually something you should not get to too quickly, because the real work is in the first two steps. The third one is to let it go, let it dissolve. There is not a final renunciation of fear or anger or pride, for instance. It's just a way to wave farewell to an emotion or thought or fear by saying, I let go of my anger, or I give my anger to God, or simply assume a posture of surrender, however that feels best for you. Or breathe a deep breath of release. You could also craft or use a prayer. You see, the goal here is correct inner alignment. So here's the prayer that Mary Mrozowski wrote. I let go of my desire for security and survival. I let go of my desire for esteem and affection. I let go of my desire for power and control. I let go of my desire to change the situation. Then give thanks, take a breath, and go on with your day. Go in peace.